All right, misspellings and misused apostrophes and bad grammar are a particular bugbear of mine. I'm guilty of it just like anybody is. But I remember going to the South Melbourne market years ago and I saw at one grocer the word mangoes, so mango plural, spelt three different ways, all of them incorrect. He had M-A-N-G-O apostrophe S, M-A-N-G-O-E apostrophe S, and M-A-N-G-O-S. The correct one is, of course, M-A-N-G-O-E-S. Now, it didn't stop me buying a mango, but I've got to say, if I encounter a website online, for example, that's full of spelling mistakes, and it's an e-commerce site, I don't reckon I'd go there. To me, that just screams that it's dodgy and that it's Chinese and that it's probably a rip-off. And I do wonder at businesses that have spelling mistakes, what does that make people think of them? For example, I mean, Myer, back in their 2012 Boxing Day sale, had a slogan, "Early bird gets the right size." The problem with it was gets was spelt G-E-T apostrophe S. Someone had slipped in a rogue apostrophe. Dumb thing to do, and I just don't know how many potential Myer customers it turned away. Lyn Stone is a linguist and spelling expert and director of Linguist Learning. Good afternoon, Ms. Stone.
Good afternoon, Tom.
So are customers put off by the odd misspelling or the odd rogue apostrophe?
I think they are. Sadly, it's a sad fact of society that people do tend to judge poorly those who have difficulty spelling, or even those who just made an innocent mistake. It signals certain negative things, unfortunately.
Don't you think, though? I mean, if it's Myer, which can obviously afford to employ, proofreaders and spell checkers and so forth, I mean, for them to make a mistake, it's got to pass through a lot of hands.
Yeah, it's fairly unforgivable at that level. I mean, I have a slightly different view in that I work with people who genuinely struggle with these things through no fault of their own. So sometimes my heart breaks for them, but in the case of Myer, no, I'm not broken-hearted at all. I'm turned away and disappointed.
I used to get a lot of CVs from people, or resumes looking for jobs, and I must say, if it had obvious spelling mistakes on the front page, I'd tend to throw it in the bin, because I thought, well, if you can't make an effort with that, with your one chance to make a good first impression, then it says to me that the person might be a bit slack in other areas too.
Sadly, that's true. We are judged on our linguistic output, whether we like it or not. And again, that's unfortunate for people who genuinely do struggle. But there's also a situation where the majority of people become adequate at these things through very basic teaching. And so there's an expectation. We expect them to at least be able to do that, even if they are struggling, to be able to make a good first impression. And so, yes, it does signal, I'm afraid, terribly negative things.
Finally, when I moved house a year ago, I found a whole lot of old newspapers in a drawer, some of them dating back to the 30s and 40s. And I've got to say, there were rogue apostrophes in ads going back then, which suggests to me that nothing's really got better in the last 80 years. I mean, are we being a bit harsh here?
I think so. I mean, because I work with people who genuinely struggle, I think we are a bit harsh. We know that was the word mangoes. There's no ambiguity there. The signal, the communicative signal, got across to us. And so I think there is this tendency to look down our nose at something which doesn't really get in the way of communication. What it does get in the way of, however, when there are sort of careless mistakes, it gets in the way of this other relationship that we have. It's called psycholinguistics, and it's relationships based on language. And what does get in the way, with spelling errors and grammatical errors and punctuation and so on, is this respect for the reader or for the listener.
Lyn Stone, psycholinguistic expert, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Well, we've got some calls here. Karen, good evening.
Oh, good evening, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. I have to agree with Lyn. Definitely is off-putting, and certainly wouldn't want to be doing business with some of these people. The area that I live in is a new estate, and we had some flyers in our letterboxes for a new real estate company wanting to list new properties. Well, they couldn't even spell the name of the estate.
So they're trying to sell your houses in the estate, but they can't spell the estate properly.
Yeah, I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. It's like, it was almost like they felt to me then like a bunch of cowboys if they couldn't even take the time to find out what the correct spelling was of the estate, and they're trying to list properties there. I just thought, not a hope. Not a hope in hell would I want to do business with them, because it shows to me that they're not professional and they don't really care.
Thank you, Karen. It wouldn't be the first time the terms cowboy and real estate agent have been put together. More calls coming up in a moment. It's 5:45.